October 1907, Wall Street is burning, banks are failing. Ordinary Americans line up in panic, desperate to withdraw their savings. The United States has no central bank, no safety net. The government is powerless. One man, in his 70s, in his private library, locks the nation's most powerful bankers in a room, puts the key in his pocket, and refuses to let them out until they agree to his plan. In that moment, one question defined America. Was J.P. Morgan its savior or its master? John Pierpont Morgan, born in 1837, not into poverty, but privilege. His father, Junius Spencer Morgan, was a partner in a powerful London bank. The young Morgan inherited connections, capital, and a destiny. But what he built would make kings and presidents bow. He was sickly, often bedridden, yet those quiet hours shaped him. He studied, he absorbed culture. And when he stepped onto the world stage, he spoke French, German, Spanish, and the universal language of power finance. Morgan's early life was tragedy mixed with controversy. At 24, his first wife, Amelia, died of tuberculosis. Just 4 months after their wedding, he drowned his grief in work. Then came his first scandal, the Hall Carbine affair. Morgan funded a deal where outdated rifles, prone to exploding in soldiers' hands, were bought cheap and sold back to the Union Army at a massive profit. He escaped charges, but his reputation was forged ruthless, untouchable, a man who played in shadows while others bled. And this was just the beginning. Morgan hated what he called ruinous competition. To him, capitalism was not survival of the fittest. It was chaos. His answer, consolidation. He called it Morganization. Competing companies crushed into one giant. Wasteful duplication slashed. His own directors installed to enforce discipline. Order at last, under his control. He reorganized railroads, stabilizing industries that carried the nation's lifeblood. By 1902, Morgan controlled over 5,000 miles of track. He did not just run trains. He dictated the very flow of American commerce. But it was not just railroads. In 1892, he merged Edison's company with a rival to form General Electric. By 1901, he brokered the birth of U.S. Steel, the world's first billion-dollar corporation, larger than the U.S. government's debt. In a single stroke, industrial titans like Carnegie bowed to the financier. It was the moment Wall Street eclipsed Main Street. Finance ruled industry, and Morgan ruled finance. But soon, the United States government itself would need his help. In 1895, the Treasury's gold supply collapsed. America teetered on default. President Grover Cleveland resisted private intervention until Morgan walked into the White House and said, "Without me, the Treasury runs dry." Today, using an obscure Civil War law, Morgan and the Rothschilds delivered $60 million in gold. He saved the government. But the cost was clear. One man had more power than the United States itself. In 1907, the entire economy froze. Banks shuttered. New York City was about to declare bankruptcy. The stock exchange nearly closed its doors. Once again, America begged Morgan to act. In his library, he bullied, cajoled, threatened. At dawn, after an all-night lock-in, bankers emerged with Morgan's rescue plan signed. He had saved Wall Street, New York, and the nation. But there was a darker truth: America had no system. Its future rested on one man's will. That realization would lead directly to the creation of the Federal Reserve, 9 months after Morgan's death. But not everyone bowed. Theodore Roosevelt, the trust buster, believed no man should hold such power. When Morgan's Northern Securities Company tried to monopolize railroads, Roosevelt's Justice Department sued. Morgan, stunned, told Roosevelt, "If we've done anything wrong, send your man to my man, and they can fix it." The Supreme Court disagreed. Northern Securities was dissolved. For the first time, the law, not Morgan, was supreme. It was the turning point. Private empires would face public checks. Yet Morgan's legend only grew. He was called a robber baron, a plutocrat with the Senate in his pocket. And yet, he gave millions to art, built the Met Museum into a world treasure, and filled his library with manuscripts and masterpieces. He dodged the Titanic by canceling his ticket at the last minute, fueling conspiracy theories that he had engineered the disaster to eliminate rivals. He funded Tesla, then abandoned him when free energy threatened his empire. He was a devout Episcopalian, yet ruled capitalism with an iron fist. When J.P. Morgan died in 1913, the stock exchange closed in his honor. His fortune, $80 million, tiny compared to Carnegie or Rockefeller. Because money was not the goal, control was, and perhaps that is why his story still haunts us. Because Morgan showed a terrifying truth: sometimes the fate of nations rests not in governments, but in the hands of a single man.